The sky over Earth used to be full of friendly lights. Trade ships, patrol cruisers, and bright stations in orbit had once been a sign that humanity was part of something greater. Now, the sky was almost empty. The last official ship of the Galactic Council had left 3 months ago, and since then, only human ships moved above the blue planet. John Carter stood at the wide window of the United Earth Command Tower and watched a thin line of light glide over the horizon. It was a human cargo shuttle, slow and careful, following a route that had been changed 10 times in 1 month. They no longer trusted old paths. Old paths belonged to old promises, and those promises were broken. He rested his hands on the railing in front of the glass and tried to remember the last council meeting. The sharp smell of alien air, the cold metal of the foreign chairs, the echo of raised voices in a language that still felt heavy on his tongue. They had not listened. They had already decided. "They never intended to keep us," John said softly. Behind him, Lisa Brown turned from the control displays. She was a tall woman with short dark hair and tired eyes that hid a sharp and focused mind. Lines of numbers and sensor tracks shifted across the screens behind her. "They tolerated us," Lisa answered, "until we scared them." John gave a small, bitter smile. "We scared them by being useful, by fighting their wars, by cleaning up their messes." Lisa walked closer and stood beside him. From here, they could see the curve of the Earth, clouds drifting slowly over blue oceans and dark continents. It looked peaceful from up here, but they both knew it was not. "They cast the vote already," Lisa said. Her voice was calm but firm. "The record is clear. Humanity expelled from the Galactic Council. Human travel outside the local region is forbidden. Trade licenses revoked. Shared star maps reclaimed. We are alone, John." He did not answer at once. He watched the tiny cargo shuttle shrink as it slipped into shadow. "No," he said finally. "We are not alone. We still have each other, and we still have Earth." Far below them in the old coastal city that had become the new capital, markets were already changing. Aliens no longer walked the streets. The strange smells of spices and fumes were gone. Many people felt abandoned. Some were angry, some were afraid, some were relieved. Mason drove through the narrow streets in an armored ground car, watching as signs were taken down and replaced. Shops that once sold alien tools now showed hand-lettered boards that read locally made or human work only. The words were not full of hate, not yet. They were full of shock. Beside him, Nobel tapped on a tablet screen, reading reports as they came in. Was a diplomat by training, not a soldier, but today she sat in the seat usually taken by a security officer. There were not enough trusted people to go around. "Another port authority just confirmed," said quietly. "The council ships took every registered jump beacon within 3 light years when they left. They stripped the network." Let out a long breath through his teeth. "So we are blind beyond our own edge." "Almost," said. "We still have older beacons, old maps, old data, but they are not up to date. The safe corridors changed and they did not share the updates before they left." Turned a corner and slowed the car as they passed a wide public screen. A news feed showed John Carter standing at a podium earlier that day, addressing the world. The sound was muted, but the subtitles were clear. "We will not beg to return," the text read. "We will not fall into panic. We will stand. We will endure, and we will build." A small crowd had gathered in front of the screen. Some watched with hard faces. Some wiped away tears. Saw a young boy raise his hand in a small salute toward the image of John. "People are listening," said. "They may not agree on what to do, but they are listening." Nodded. "Then we had better decide what we will ask them to do." In the underground levels of the same city, far below the sunlight and the noise of markets, a very different kind of work was already in motion. The air was cool and dry in the hidden facility under the old industrial district. Thick steel doors sealed each corridor. Cameras watched every corner. The world above believed this place was a closed minerals lab from the last century. Only a few knew the truth. In a wide chamber filled with scaffolding and heavy machines, a skeleton of dark metal stretched from one end of the room to the other. It was the unfinished frame of a new kind of starship. Its lines were sharp and clean, but its surface was rough with open sections and exposed ribs. Teams in gray work suits moved like ants along its length, welding, bolting, checking. Tools hummed and clanked. A low, deep sound came from the reactors being tested in the lower decks. Daniel Brooks stood on a metal platform above the ship frame, hands on his hips. He was not yet wearing a uniform. Officially, he was not a commander of anything. Officially, this ship did not exist. "Power readouts," he called out. A voice came from a nearby station, where a young technician sat with a row of displays. Reactor 1 at 40% stable. Reactor 2 at 18 and rising. No abnormal spikes. Daniel nodded and looked over at the woman beside him. Mary Hart held a small tablet in one hand and a pen in the other. She still liked to write notes by hand, even as streams of digital data floated in the air around them. "If we push them to full today, can the structure take it?" Daniel asked. Mary pursed her lips as she checked her tablet. "The supports can. The frame is rated for it. The outer hull is not complete, but for a power test, we should be fine. The risk is low." "Low," Daniel repeated with a small smile. "Though if something goes wrong, we will have a new crater for the city to explain." Mary did not smile. "We do not have time to wait. If we want this ship ready before the Council closes its patrol lines fully, we must move." Daniel leaned on the rail and looked down again at the dark skeleton of the starship. It looked nothing like the standard human Navy ships the Council had approved in the past. It was longer, more narrow, with hidden compartments and armored plates designed to absorb and bend sensor signals. "We are not building this for them," Daniel said quietly. "We are building this for us." Mary nodded, "For us, and for what comes after." Far from the city, in a deep ocean trench, another secret project was growing. A long shape rested against the rocky wall of the trench, lit by only a few pale work lamps. It was a hidden shipyard, an enclosed shell of metal and composite anchored to the sea floor. Only a tiny fraction of the structure rose above the water, disguised as an old weather platform. Inside the pressure walls, engineers floated in low gravity, moving around a rounded vessel that was almost complete. Its surface gleamed in the dim light, smooth and seamless. Moore drifted past one of the viewports and looked out at the dark water beyond. It was like staring into space, he thought. Only here, at least, gravity still pulled in a familiar way. "You could stand there all day, you know," a voice said from behind him. Turned and saw Nancy Price pushing herself off a ladder to join him. Her hair was tied back, and stray strands floated slightly in the low gravity. "I was thinking," said, "about how quiet it is out there. No noise, no politics, no council lectures." "No air," Nancy added with a faint grin. "Do not romanticize it too much." Smiled, then looked past her at the vessel in the center of the chamber. "We are ready for the next phase," he said. "The new drive core is stable in simulations. If the field coils behave as expected, we can bend local space more sharply than any council-approved engine." Nancy tapped the glass with one finger, "And we will do it without telling them." "They made their choice," said. His voice grew harder. "They cast us out. They came into our system, took what they thought was theirs, and left us like we were a failed experiment. So we will show them their mistake," Nancy said. Shook his head. "No, we will not shout at them. We will not run to their door and demand to be let back in. We will build. We will grow. And one day, if they look for us, they will find something they never expected." Later that night, back on the surface, John Carter met with Lisa Brown, Mason, and Nobel in a secured conference room inside the command tower. The walls were plain and gray, but hidden systems hummed softly, blocking outside scans and listeners. A simple three-dimensional map of local space hovered above the center of the table. It showed a small cluster of bright points around Earth, then a wide empty ring where council beacons once hung, and beyond that, faint markers of distant known stars. "They left us the inner system," Lisa said, pointing to the bright cluster. "Our stations, our mining sites, our shipyards they knew about. Everything inside 2 light hours is untouched. But beyond that, they took almost everything we shared: trade posts, outer research platforms, beacon relays." Folded her hands on the table. "They believe we will turn inward, that we will argue with each other, that our governments will fight over the scraps, and that we will become too weak to matter." "Some will fight," said. "Some already are. There were clashes today at the old alien quarter. Broken windows, a burned shop. People want someone to blame." John watched the map for a long moment, then spoke. "We cannot stop people from feeling hurt," he said. "We cannot order them not to be angry, but we can choose what we do with that anger." Lisa looked at him. "What do you have in mind?" John turned his gaze around the table, meeting each of their eyes. "They think we are cut off," he said. "So we will make that idea true in one way and false in another. Publicly, we will accept our new borders. Officially, our fleets will stay close to home. We will speak of defense, of self-care, of rebuilding." "And unofficially?" asked. "Unofficially," John continued, "we will do the opposite. We will reach farther than we ever have, but we will do it in secret. No council maps. No shared beacons. No open broadcasts. We will build our own routes, our own beacons, our own networks, hidden in places they do not care to look." There was a brief silence. "Was the first to break it. That means years of covert work. We will need ships they cannot trace, crews we can trust, and bases that do not officially exist." "We already have the start of that," Lisa said. "The deep facility under the city, the ocean trench yard, old black projects that were never fully shut down. We can bring them together under one plan." Leaned forward. There was a new spark in her eyes now, a mix of worry and hope. "What would we call this plan?" she asked. John looked back up at the floating map. The empty ring around Earth no longer looked like a cage to him. It looked like a challenge. "We will not give it a public name," he said at last. "Names can be heard. Files can be stolen. For now, it belongs only in our heads and in quiet rooms like this. We will just call it the work." In the days that followed, the work began. Old budgets were rewritten under new labels. Defense projects were merged into research groups. Cargo routes were adjusted to carry more than food and machines. Containers whose manifests listed simple parts for orbital platforms now carried advanced components hidden inside false walls. People were chosen, one by one, not for their loyalty to any single flag, but for their loyalty to humanity itself. A young pilot who had once flown escort missions for council convoys received a quiet offer to join a new test squadron. A retired engineer who felt his skills were wasted on small repairs was invited to a private interview in a room with no cameras. A programmer who had been blacklisted for breaking council security rules was asked if she wanted to use her talents for a cause that never needed to be written down. Not all said yes. Some were too afraid. Some were too bitter. Some wanted to forget the stars and live simple lives on the ground, but enough agreed. One evening, Lisa stood again at the wide window of the command tower. The sky beyond was darker now. With fewer official ships in orbit, the nights seemed more like they had been in old stories, where only stars shone above. John joined her, holding 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to her. "Thank you," Lisa said, taking a slow sip. "We have reports from Daniel and Mary. The first new ship will be ready for full trials in 3 months if nothing delays them, and Nancy say the ocean yard will have its prototype drive online even sooner." "Good," John said, "quietly good." Outside, a small shuttle lifted from a launch pad and climbed into the dark. Its lights were dimmed, its beacon set to a code that did not appear on any council lists. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if the council had not cast us out?" Lisa asked suddenly. John watched the shuttle until it vanished from sight. "Yes," he said. "Maybe we would still be sending our best and to fix their problems. Maybe we would still be following their rules, waiting for permission to grow." He turned to look at her. "They thought they were pushing us down," he said. "Maybe they were pushing us forward." Lisa looked back at the dark sky. Somewhere up there, humans were already at work, building, testing, preparing. "Then let us make sure," she said softly, "that when the galaxy next notices us, we are ready." The quiet anger that had filled so many hearts did not vanish. It changed. It settled into something steady and hard, like metal cooling into a new shape. Humanity had been cast out. Earth had been left alone. But in the shadows of its shipyards, in the deep of its oceans, and in the silent corridors of its hidden stations, a secret empire was already beginning to form. The work moved forward in silence, like deep water flowing under a frozen lake. From the surface, life on Earth looked calm and almost normal. Ships still launched, goods still moved, people still lived their daily lives. But under that calm shell, a quiet power was growing, slow and careful, like a seed pushing through stone. Daniel Brooks walked through the long corridor of the hidden facility, the echo of his boots soft against the metal floor. The air smelled of oil, warm circuits, and clean steel. Overhead lights cast pale white lines across the walls, and every few meters, sealed doors marked sections that no public record admitted existed. Through wide armored glass, the first silent cruiser rested in its dry dock. Its dark surface drank in the light instead of reflecting it, and no clear markings showed who it belonged to. This was by design. Even its shape was different, sharp in some places and smooth in others, as if it could change in the shadows. Mary Hart joined him as he stopped beside the glass. She crossed her arms and studied the ship with a careful eye. "Final system checks are ahead of schedule," she said. "Stealth plating is responding better than we predicted. Sensor masking is holding stable even under stress tests." Daniel nodded. "Good. The less they know about us, the safer everyone stays." Mary glanced at him. "You still think they will not come looking?" "Not yet," he answered. "Right now they believe we are busy crying over being rejected. They believe our governments will fight each other. They believe we will shrink." He paused. "Let them believe it." Far away beneath the ocean, Moore and Nancy Price prepared for the first full test of the new drive core. Inside the pressure-safe chamber, soft blue light filled the space as coils powered up around the vessel. The sound was low and steady, like a deep breath from something alive. Nancy floated near the control panel, her fingers moving slowly over the interface. "Field strength is rising clean," she said. "No distortion in the containment shell." Watch the live feed of energy maps on his display. "Increase to phase 2, he replied. "Keep it slow. I want stable, not impressive." As the power level climbed, space around the vessel seemed to bend, the light twisting around it in a soft shimmer. It was not a loud event. No explosion, no shockwave, just a quiet change in how reality behaved in a small, controlled area. Nancy let out a slow breath. "It is beautiful," she whispered. "It is freedom," said. "We will go where we choose, not where they allow." On the surface, John Carter continued to play the role the galaxy expected. Public speeches spoke of unity, healing, and rebuilding. He wore calm expressions and used gentle words. He spoke of peace, of patience, and of looking inward for strength. The council, if they watched at all, would see a quiet world, not a rising power. In private rooms, however, the tone was different. Lisa Brown displayed a moving star map in front of a small group of trusted leaders and planners. Faint lines connected hidden points far beyond the borders the council had set. "These are the routes our scouts confirmed," she said. Old trade shadows, forgotten mining lanes, empty zones the Council marked as useless decades ago. These will become our paths. Mason leaned forward, and the forward points. Small stations to start, Lisa replied. Listening posts supply caches, shield nests, nothing that looks like power, everything that acts like it. Nobel watched in silence, her eyes following the faint dots moving across the hologram. And what of the minor species, the ones the Council ignored? John answered her. We do not treat them as tools, we treat them as partners. If they seek protection, if they seek stability, we provide it. No contracts that trap them, no forced loyalty, only mutual care. Nodded slowly. Then we become something they have never seen before. In the outer shadow of the system, a small stealth ship glided through dark space. Inside, a pilot named Lee sat at the controls, calm and focused. This was his first deep run beyond official routes. His screens showed only simple lines and quiet signals, no bright Council markers, no shared guidance lights. His co-pilot, Emma, checked sensor readings and fuel flow. We hit the edge beacon in 12 minutes, she said. No sign of pursuit or unknown traffic. Good, replied. Let us keep it that way. As they passed into truly unmarked space, the darkness seemed heavier, the stars more distant. This was where the secret network would grow. Every flight like this was a silent statement, a slow breaking of old chains. Back on Earth, the mood among citizens began to shift. The first wave of fear slowly softened. People still worried about trade shortages and lost alien tech, but new human innovations filled the gaps faster than anyone had expected. Local manufacturers expanded. Independent labs reopened. Young engineers found pride in creating something that no council had approved or controlled. In a small workshop in the Midwest, a young woman named Holly soldered a part into a prototype drone. Her father watched nearby, arms folded. "You really think anyone will need this?" he asked. "Not need," she said. "Rely on, there is a difference." Far above the clouds, in low orbit, the first silent cruiser powered its main systems for a controlled maneuver test. Daniel stood with Mary on the command deck, watching the soft light ripple across panels as the ship responded. "Steering feedback is smooth," Mary said. "Micro-adjustments responding within expected ranges." Daniel touched the rail beside him, almost like greeting an old friend. "Take us into Shadow Band 3, he ordered. A pilot at the forward controls. The ship glided toward the darker stretch of space where Earth's magnetic field mixed with solar drift. Standard Council sensors struggled in this zone. Human sensors now thrived in it. "Activating masking field," the pilot announced. For a brief moment, the cruiser seemed to fade. Its outlines softened, light bending around its hull in strange ways. If anyone had looked for it with old methods, they would have seen only empty space. Mary gave a slow nod, blind to them but clear to us. In the command tower, Lisa and John watched data streams coming in from multiple secret locations. Each green indicator was a small success. Each completed test was another step toward strength. "Reports from Nancy are positive," Lisa said. "Their prototype drive showed no degradation after sustained use. They are ready for the first real jump test." John did not smile, but his eyes showed a quiet satisfaction. "Tell them to proceed when safe. Remind them that patience matters more than speed." "You still fear rushing?" Lisa asked. "I fear sloppy work," he replied. "We are not just building ships. We are building a future where we never kneel again. That takes care." Out in deep space, the test flight began, and Emma guided their stealth ship toward the marker point, invisible to any known chart. Its new drive system hummed softly as it charged, a deep, steady tone filling the cabin. "Jump window open," Emma said. "Engage," replied. Space folded without sound, without flash. Stars stretched into pale lines and then snapped back into clarity. The ship now rested in a cold and quiet region far beyond any former Council patrol range. Emma stared at the readings. That was smooth, no system shock, no frame stress. Exhaled slowly. We just crossed a line no one thought we could. This was not conquest. This was exploration without chains. Days turned into weeks, and the quiet web of hidden stations spread. Small habitats grew in dark zones. Listening arrays drifted at the edge of nebulae. Shielded warehouses stored supplies for fleets that officially did not exist. Different worlds began to notice strange acts of protection. Merchant ships attacked by raiders found the pirates disabled by unknown forces. Weak colonies saw attacks fail without ever seeing who saved them. Rumors began to spread among fringe traders. Some called the unseen force ghosts, others called it the hidden hand. No one yet spoke the word human. Back on Earth, met with a group of foreign ministers in a simple but secure chamber. They spoke softly about food flow, resource control, and public morale. People feel safer than before, one said, even if they try not to admit it. Nodded, because for the first time, we are not waiting for permission to exist. Later, alone in her office, she looked through old records of council debates. Footage of alien delegates speaking coldly about humanity as if it were a problem to be managed, not a voice to respect. She closed the file. Never again, she murmured. Another secure call linked Daniel, Mary, and Nancy together with Lisa and John. First jump confirmed stable, reported. Drive performance exceeded projections. Mary added, ship systems are synchronized. Stealth field integrated smoothly with propulsion. John listened carefully. Good work, all of you. This is the foundation, build on it, but remember we are still unseen. Our strength lies in silence. For now, Daniel said. John paused, yes, for now. Outside the city, children played in fields under a sky that looked empty to them. They did not see the hidden eyes watching beyond the stars. They did not know that above them, a new kind of shield was forming, one made not of walls but of will. At night, Lisa walked along the quiet balcony of the command tower. Lights of the city shimmered far below. Trucks moved, homes glowed, voices carried faintly upward in soft echoes. John joined her, silent as always in these moments. Do you ever feel the weight of it? She asked. All the lies we must keep. They are not lies, he said. They are layers of protection. She considered this, and when the galaxy finally looks back at us, then they will not see a wounded species, John replied. They will see a people who learned to stand alone and chose to stand for others. Far beyond human space, a small alien patrol scanned an empty stretch of stars and found nothing unusual. They moved on, unaware that on the edge of their sensor range, a silent vessel watched them pass, invisible and patient. Inside that vessel, a young officer whispered, "Distance maintained, no detection." His commander nodded. "Hold position, observe only, we remain ghosts." The secret empire grew not in fire but in quiet discipline. It spread through careful planning, shared purpose, and steady hands. No banners, no loud claims, only progress measured in small, invisible victories. Earth had not simply survived exile, it had adapted to it. And in the cold, dark spaces between stars, where the Council no longer ruled, humanity was learning what true independence meant. The first sign that something was changing did not come with noise or war. It came as silence where chaos once lived. Old pirate zones grew quiet. Risky corridors became calm. Ships that once feared travel now moved with cautious hope. Traders spoke in whispers at distant spaceports. They shared stories of unseen ships that appeared only as faint shadows. They spoke of attacks that ended before they began. No one knew who protected them, but the results were clear. Cole stood on the bridge of a stealth cruiser as they drifted along the edge of a former combat zone. His eyes moved from screen to screen, studying patterns of movement and energy traces. Another convoy passed safely, his officer said. That makes 5 this week. Cole nodded. Good, keep us out of sight. Our task is not to be seen. Near him, Sophie Turner monitored a channel of old emergency signals. Sometimes they picked up cries from lost ships or distant colonies no longer supported by the Council. Most of those voices once went unheard. Now, humanity listened. Weak distress call at Grid 9, Sophie said calmly. Cargo vessel, light hull damage, low fuel. No sign of hostile threat. Cole leaned forward. Route a support drone. Keep our main body cloaked. Let them believe the universe simply answered their need. In the darkness, a small automated craft drifted toward the damaged vessel. It carried fuel, patch material, and simple repair tools. The traders watched in confusion as their systems stabilized without anyone visible to thank. Ghost 8 again, one of them muttered. On Earth, reports flowed into the command tower. Lisa read quiet success after quiet success. No public broadcast spoke of these actions. Everything remained contained within secure networks and trusted hands. Trade lines are improving, she said to John. Minor worlds feel safer but do not know why. John folded his hands. That is the point. They trust the result, not the source. Some of the old powers are becoming uneasy, added through the connection. They feel order returning, but the Council did not cause it. That scares them. John gave a small nod. Fear born from confusion will soon become curiosity, and curiosity will become search. Out beyond the fringe, in a drifting station built within shattered rock, a meeting took place between a human envoy and leaders of a small, ignored species. Their forms were different, tall and gentle, with slow movements and careful eyes. Daniel spoke calmly. We offer protection, not control. You keep your culture, your trade, your voice. We simply stand beside you. Their leader tilted its head. Why help those the Council forgot? Because we were also forgotten, Daniel said, and we know the cost of that. Agreement was reached without force, only respect. A quiet alliance formed, unseen by those who once ruled. Back aboard the cruiser, Cole studied incoming transmissions from scattered listening posts. New rumors filled the channels. Some claimed a new power was rising. Others feared a hidden conqueror. We are becoming a myth, Sophie said softly. Let the myth grow, Cole replied. While they chase shadows, we build something real. On Earth, a simple family sat in their small home as the evening news played on the wall screen. A reporter spoke about safer shipping lanes and unknown stabilizing forces. Maybe the Council finally fixed something, the man said. His daughter shook her head. No, this feels different, like someone actually cares. Above them, far in orbit, hidden ships continued their silent watch. In a cold, distant region of space, a patrol from an old alien power slowed its movement. Strange energy readings marked the edge of their sensor range. Repeat scan, their commander ordered. Nothing appeared, just empty stars and thin dust clouds, but unease settled over them like a slow shadow. Log the anomaly, the commander said, and inform Central Command. We are not alone out here. That message traveled through Council networks, stirring small ripples of concern among leaders who once felt absolute control. On Earth, Mason walked through a manufacturing district where new hull segments were shaped by automated arms. Sparks flew in soft arcs as workers guided the machines with steady hands. Production is ahead of schedule, a supervisor told him. We will be able to support 3 additional fleets within the year. Nodded, quiet growth is the safest kind. Keep the public reports modest. In the ocean trench, and Nancy watched a new drive module rise from its fitting cradle. Its surface gleamed softly. Second-generation design, Nancy said. More stable, less energy drain, cleaner folds. Smiled. The Council engine limits were based on fear. We are proving it. Far from home, a human scout detected a deep space ambush ahead of a small colony world. Raiders moved to strike, confident no protection would come. Cole and Sophie watched from the dark. "Permission to intervene?" Sophie asked. "Yes," Cole said, "but softly." Human drones spread like silent wings. Their weapons targeted radar systems, disabling power cores and navigation without explosive show. Within minutes, the hostile ships drifted powerless, confused and blind. The colony saw only that the danger vanished. "We owe you," the colony leader transmitted into the empty distance. No answer returned, only peace. On the bridge, Sophie lowered her hands from the controls. "Sometimes I wish they knew who saved them." Cole gave a faint smile. "Not yet. Trust grows stronger when mystery exists." The old galactic powers now spoke in careful tones. Meetings took on a new sharpness. Reports filled tables and glowing panels. An unseen force changed the balance without firing public shots. "This is not chaos," one alien delegate said. "This is design. Someone is reshaping the void." But no name could be spoken. No proof could be shown. Back on Earth, John stood alone for a moment in the quiet observatory room of the tower. A wide glass ceiling revealed the endless sky above. Stars blinked calmly, as if unaware of the slow storm of change building below them. Lisa stepped in beside him. "Sensors show increased scans near our outer edges. They are starting to look." "Good," he said. "Then they are learning what uncertainty feels like." "How long do we stay hidden?" she asked. "Until our presence brings stability, not panic," John replied. Beyond known space, a drifting rogue carrier approached a silent human outpost. Its crew moved with caution, not hostility. "Identify yourselves," their captain transmitted. For a moment only soft space static replied. Then a calm voice emerged. "We are watchers," it said. "We do not seek conflict. Continue your path safely." The carrier passed on, shaken but unharmed. Storytellers across distant systems would later speak of this moment as the first whisper of a hidden guardian race. Back on Earth, children learned new lessons in school. They studied both human history and the old council rules. Their teachers spoke of independence, strength, and careful kindness. "Why did they send us away?" a young boy asked. "Because they did not understand us," his teacher replied. "And sometimes fear grows from not understanding." "Will they understand us one day?" She paused. "Only if they choose to look with open eyes." In space, Cole and Sophie guided their cruiser along a drifting trail of sensor echoes. Ahead, a broken station slowly rotated, once abandoned by those who built it. "Salvage and restore," Cole ordered. "We turn ruins into tools." Slowly, piece by piece, the forgotten outpost came to life again, now serving a purpose built on care, not dominance. Whispers of the Phantom Protector spread faster than any data wave. More worlds suspected intervention. More voices whispered of balance, of unseen unity. In the command tower, reviewed early reactions from distant governments. Quiet concern filled their words. "They are no longer sure the Council truly controls the galaxy," she said. "They never did," John replied softly. Far beyond, along a shimmering line of starlight, a strange alien scout finally caught the faintest glimpse of a human cruiser. Its hull bent light in strange waves, but for a second, a dark outline held shape. "Visual anomaly confirmed," the scout breathed. The cruiser shifted, and the stars swallowed it once more. Cole leaned back in his command chair. "So it begins." Sophie looked toward the silent stars. "They will not be able to pretend we do not exist for much longer." "No," he said, "and when they look harder, they will see something they cannot dismiss." The secret empire was no longer only a shadow. It was becoming a presence, a force felt even by those who once ruled from shining thrones. Yet still humanity waited, watched, refined. Because when they finally stepped into open light, the galaxy would not see a rejected species. It would see a quiet power that had learned to protect without pride and grow without noise. The moment humanity chose to step into open light did not come with rage. It came with calm purpose, like a door opening after long preparation. The galaxy had been feeling the change for months, sensing the unseen hand shaping events, and now that hand was ready to be revealed. On the bridge of the flagship cruiser, Cole watched the deep black ahead as clusters of alien vessels gathered near the neutral zone. This space had once been ruled by fear and tension. Today, it waited in uneasy silence. "All formations in place," Sophie Turner reported. "Defensive posture only, no weapons locked." Cole nodded. "Good, we are here to speak, not to conquer." Behind them, a line of silent human ships flowed into position. Their hulls no longer fully hidden, their shapes clear but still graceful and controlled. They did not block stars, they framed them. On Earth, John Carter stood in the central command hall before a wide transmission wall. Lisa Brown, Nobel, Mason, Daniel Brooks, Mary Hart, Moore, and Nancy Price were all present, linked to outposts and fleets across human space. The channel to the Galactic Assembly opened. Alien faces, shapes, and forms filled the screen. Some showed fear, some anger, some sharp curiosity. John stepped forward calmly. "You cast humanity out," he said in an even tone. "You believed we would break, fade, or turn into something dangerous. Instead, we chose another path." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "For a long time," he continued, "we stayed silent, not because we were weak but because we were learning. We built fleets, systems, and alliances not for revenge but for balance." One older delegate spoke. "You interfered in border zones, you blocked raids, you altered trade stability without notice." "Yes," John replied, "we did. We protected those who were left behind by your decisions. We strengthened paths you abandoned." Silence followed his words, not angry silence but heavy awareness. "We are not here to replace you," John said. "We are here to end the era where power meant control. We stand as guardians, not rulers." At the same time, Cole's fleet held steady in visible orbit at the neutral frontier. No shots were fired, no threats made. Their quiet presence carried more weight than weapons ever could. In distant systems, minor worlds watched the broadcast in stunned stillness. Traders, colonists, and free crews whispered among themselves. The ghost had stepped into form. On a scattered mining moon, an old worker looked at the screen and said, "They are the ones who kept us safe." Back in the assembly, tension slowly softened into cautious respect. Some delegates leaned forward. "Why reveal yourselves now?" another asked. John looked directly into the lens. "Because the galaxy has felt our presence long enough, and because hiding forever serves no future." On the bridge, Sophie watched multiple sensor feeds as alien ships adjusted position, not in attack, but in observation. "No hostile locks," she said quietly. Cole allowed a slow breath, then this worked. Across space, human protection vessels revealed their identity to worlds they had guarded in secret. Messages passed, calm and steady, each carrying a similar tone. "We are human, we mean you no harm, we stand with you." Many did not know how to answer. Some responded with careful thanks, some with trembling relief. A fragile trust began to form. On Earth, Lisa turned to John. "Council response processing is shifting. Early tone shows acceptance, not aggression." "Good," he said. "They are learning to listen." Far beyond, an old alien power sent a probe to observe human ships up close. Its sensors trailed the hull of a cruiser, recording patterns of quiet energy and discipline. "Their systems are advanced," one analyst whispered, "yet they show restraint." That restraint told its own story. In the assembly, debates followed, long and careful. Some questioned the years of silence. Others admitted fault in the exile. No apology was perfect, but the words carried sincerity. "We judged you from fear," one delegate confessed, "not understanding." John accepted the statement without triumph. Then let understanding build what fear destroyed. Slowly agreements were formed: shared patrol cooperation, open lanes for minor species, mutual monitoring rather than dominance, nothing demanded, nothing forced. Humanity offered strength without chains. Back among the stars, Cole and his crew watched as alien fleets adjusted to new reality. Where once tension stood, careful balance now lived. "Status steady," Sophie said. "No escalation." "Then our role begins," Cole replied, "not as a shadow but as a pillar." On Earth, broadcasts across the planet echoed the same simple message: calm, unity, readiness. Families gathered at windows, screens, and open fields, staring at the night sky where silent ships now moved openly. Children pointed. Elders listened. "They are ours," someone said softly, "but they are also for everyone." Word spread across hundreds of worlds. A species once rejected now held fleets greater than many combined powers, yet they did not posture, they simply stood. Days later, a formal gathering took place in neutral space between human and alien delegates. No council throne, no raised platform, only shared level ground. Walked beside John as they entered the chamber, her voice was quiet. "History is shifting." "Yes," he answered, "but not through force, through choice." Conversation replaced command, discussion replaced threat, slow respect replaced fear. And Nancy presented new drive models to coalition engineers. They spoke not of superiority, but of shared progress. Alien minds leaned closer, curious. "This was once forbidden," one said. "Now it is open," replied, "because fear should never stop discovery." In orbit around a newly stabilized border world, Sophie looked down upon quiet cities lit by soft lights. No raids, no alarms, just life moving forward. "This place used to scream in panic," she whispered. Cole stood beside her. "Now it rests." Within the echo of the galaxy, the message became clear. Humanity had not risen to rule, it had risen to balance. Back on Earth, children who once feared the sky now walked beneath it with ease. The alien scent of uncertainty faded, replaced by calm wonder. "Will they stay with us?" one asked his father. "Yes," he replied, "because they chose to." Long after the first revealed broadcast, peace shifted from tension to stability. Trade restarted. Science grew shared. Trust formed slowly but steadily. In the command tower, John stood one final time at the wide glass window beside Lisa. "They see us now," she said. "And we remain the same," he replied, "steady, aware, human." Outside, a formation of human ships glided across the stars, no longer hidden, no longer feared, just present. Earth had been cast out. It had been left alone. But from that solitude, a quiet empire grew, not to dominate but to transform. And in that transformation, the galaxy changed forever.